I'm political editor Mike Flannery.
And I'm Natalie Bomke. Thanks so much for joining us here on Fox32Chicago.com for your 2022 Illinois primary coverage.
We are following a number of big races right now. Let's start with an update on the Republican race for governor.
And the front runner, basically within the past month, is Darren Bailey from downstate Effingham.
Right. He has come from back of the pack, the beneficiary, as you well know, Natalie, of millions of dollars in spending by J.B. Pritzker, and everybody wondering why Bailey, getting touted by Democrats rather than Gary Rabine, Jesse Sullivan, Max Solomon, the lawyer from the south suburbs, and the other two candidates, Richard Irvin among them. Why? Because it's clear that Pritzker believes Bailey will be easier to beat in November.
And before we take a live look at and we check in with Dane Placco, I want to mention, you talked about the millions of dollars that Governor Pritzker and the Democratic Governors Association, almost $40 million spent on the Republican primary, which is kind of unheard of. And
that DGA money, the Democratic Governors Association money, came from J.B. Pritzker.
There you go.
So he gave it to them to spend in this fashion.
So Dane Placco is downstate in Effingham. He's covering Darren Bailey, and we'll see if all that money paid off. Dane, what are you seeing down there right now?
Yeah, let me set the scene for you. We're at the Holiday Inn Convention Center in Effingham, not far from Bailey's hometown of Louisville. About 200 people in the room right now, a growing crowd. What's interesting is they were playing music earlier, but just moments ago they switched the TV over, as you might be able to see there. Oh, now they have somebody coming up on stage. They switched the TV over to a Trump rally that featured Bailey that was held in downstate Quincy last weekend. And the people stopped what they were doing and began applauding loudly when they saw former President Trump. I also want to show you some video from earlier today of Bailey and his wife Cindy as they were voting in their hometown of Louisville. That's about 30 miles south of here. Most recent polls showing Bailey with a 15-point lead in the Republican primary race. And he got a big boost over the weekend, as we mentioned, when he was endorsed on stage by former President Donald Trump. Now, while the Trump endorsement will certainly help him among Illinois Republicans, Democrats are going to use it against him, if he wins the primary. He goes head-to-head with Governor Pritzker in the fall. In fact, the governor's been pouring millions of dollars into ads that have helped Bailey by attacking his opponent, Richard Irvin, under the belief that Bailey will be easier to beat this fall. Bailey said he's comfortable going into election night. And being a farmer, you'll like this, he used a corn analogy to describe his campaign.
So it's kind of like this cornfield across the street. That's my corn over there, and we've worked all spring to make sure we do everything possible to ensure a good crop, and now we wait on the weather, and so it is here. We've done everything that we could do to make sure that people understand what's going on and their options, and now we wait on them to show up and exercise their freedoms.
Now, if Bailey does win tonight, he's going to have some explaining to do to Chicago voters who he's dissed the city pretty hard in the past. A couple years ago, as a state lawmaker, he introduced a bill that would separate Chicago from the rest of the state and create its own state, saying that the people who live downstate have nothing to do with the cultural values of Chicago. More recently, calling the city of Chicago a, quote, hellhole. So he's going to have to make some friends up in the northern part of the state, where a lot of votes are going to be tallied this coming fall. So the situation here at the Effingham Holiday Inn, everybody is being entertained by some speakers right now. Darren Bailey is here watching the results when they start coming in with his family. Is he expected to, if they make an announcement or if they claim victory, expected to come down and meet a lot of these people who are both his friends and neighbors as well as political supporters. Back to you.
Well, Dane, I should probably help set the scene of exactly where you are in the big picture. Effingham sits right on the Mason-Dixon line, if it were to be extended from the old Confederacy across to Illinois.
Yeah.
That part of southern Illinois, where the state Senate district is, that is represented by Darren Bailey, it's famously closer to Nashville, Tennessee, than it is to Chicago. So there is a significant cultural difference here. That's something that Bailey's going to have to finesse in the fall general election.
Yeah, I can tell you there's certainly a lot more St. Louis Cardinals fans here than Cubs or White Sox fans. Let me put it to you in baseball terms, which I know you can understand.
All right, Dane, thank you so much for your coverage. We're going to catch back up with Dane, of course, on Fox 32 News at 9, so make sure you tune into that. Thank you, Dane. And the more moderate candidate who was initially in the lead, Richard Irvin, mayor of Aurora, the second largest city in Illinois, and you can see why Governor Pritzker would probably not want to face him and would rather face State Senator Bailey.
Well, he would have been, as a Republican candidate, seeking to become the first black governor of Illinois. Let's check in with Elizabeth Matthews, live in Aurora with Richard Irvin's campaign.
Yeah, hey guys, we're in an old public library building in downtown Aurora. The building's kind of split in two, so you don't see a lot of people behind me yet, but there are a lot of supporters here. I would say 2 or 3 dozen of supporters here. The doors opened about 6 o'clock, so about an hour ago, and they've been trickling in. There's music playing. It's still pretty upbeat here. We're going to speak with Tanaya. She's a supporter of Mayor Irvin. I will tell you, by the way, Mayor Richard Irvin is not here. He's still a mayor, and he's actually presiding over a city council meeting as we speak, which started at 6 o'clock. Hey, Tanaya.
Hey, how are you?
Good. So how you feeling today?
I'm feeling really good. We're really excited. There's a lot of energy. The whole team, we feel really good about today and the work that we've put in over the course of this campaign. We've worked really hard. We've been really consistent, and we really believe our message is resonating.
So talk about that message, because it has maybe changed a little bit, or a strategy has kind of changed over the past month. If you look at some of the polls, Irvin hasn't always been the front runner recently.
Yes, I definitely hear that, but what I will say is that our message has been consistent. We are working to cut down taxes, we are fighting corruption, and we are promoting community policing and making sure that they know that we support them in our state. Mayor Irvin has done a really wonderful job in Aurora, and he wants to take his efforts and his talents to the entire state, and I couldn't be more proud of that.
Are you from Aurora?
I am originally, yes.
What has changed since he became mayor?
He's been so, I'd say, progressive in terms of the support for young people and getting young people involved. I think one thing that really drew me to this campaign as a young person is that our voices matter to him, and he knows that this state is for us, and he wants to make sure that generations to come feel as comfortable and as like the opportunity is there just like it was for his generation and those before him. As far as Aurora, the public education has been so much better. The community down here downtown where the public library building is, there's a lot more businesses opening, and it's a lot safer now compared to when I was a young child. I feel so comfortable walking downtown and hanging out with my friends, and it's those opportunities are really endless. I've been able to network largely outside of the campaign as well as in my school, so that's been really nice.
You're a pretty good spokesperson.
Absolutely, thank you.
So he, like you mentioned, he's more progressive, more moderate than some of the other candidates. Do you think that's why the Democratic Governors Association has gone after your candidate?
Well, I would say progressive in terms of getting young people involved in the political system. Sometimes I think as young people, we don't necessarily feel like we have the voice that we do. And during his campaign, he's assured that he's for all Illinoisans and wants to make sure that he's providing for us all. And so that's been really, really exciting for us.
Could you talk about, he is still the mayor of Aurora, and right now he could be, here, although normally they don't show up, candidates don't show up for a while, right? Polls just closed. But he's right now presiding over a city council meeting.
Absolutely, and that's what's so inspiring about it is that he really is on the grind all the time. The work never stops. He wants to make the city better. He wants to make Illinois better, and I'm just so excited to be a part of that.
All right, well, good luck tonight. Thanks so much for
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Right. And we got some video earlier today of Mayor Irvin actually voting just about a mile from here at Wesley United Methodist Church. He did speak with reporters talking about the $35 million of negative ads that have been against him, primarily from the Democratic Governors Association, which, as Mike pointed out, is also from Pritzker himself. And he said that a vote for Darren Bailey is a vote for Pritzker. So we are live here in Aurora, in downtown Aurora, in an old public library building, also the Irvin headquarters, and we will bring you much more coming up later. Guys, back to you.
Elizabeth, thank you very much. We are also keeping a watch on the Democratic primary side as well, Natalie. Governor J.B. Pritzker and Senator Tammy Duckworth are going to be holding a joint election event in the South Loop this evening.
And we're going to check in with Tia in just a moment, but we do have some early results from the Republican primary for governor. The polls just closing at 7 o'clock. I know some staying open a little later because they had some issues around the Cook County area. Well, let's go through some of these results. A little surprising, Mike. We have Darren Bailey with 47% of the vote, Richard Irvin, 23%, and Jesse Sullivan from downstate Petersburg with 17%. Surprising because in the last polls that we looked at, Sullivan was actually in second place.
Right. These, of course, are fragmentary returns, just a few thousand votes. But Bailey at 47 is about where he was in those surveys, a few points up. He'd been gaining perhaps a point a day over the last couple of weeks. So we will see how things turn out when we get a little more energy, a few more votes, and we see the energy level at these rallies begin to increase.
And speaking of rallies, we want to go to the Marriott Marquis in the South Loop, where Tia Ewing is stationed for us tonight. She is covering the watch party with J.B. Pritzker as well as Senator Tammy Duckworth. Hey, Tia.
Hey, yeah, you guys were talking about the energy. We're starting to see that energy build here in the South Loop as people have just started to pour in. Of course, you know, this is the headquarters for Governor J.B. Pritzker, Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, and also the Senator Tammy Duckworth. Now, up on the stage first tonight with remarks will be Senator Tammy Duckworth. She's supposed to speak at around 8 tonight, followed by the Lieutenant Governor, and then J.B. Pritzker is supposed to take the stage anywhere from 8:35 until 9 tonight. But let's go back and talk about Senator Duckworth. She is running uncontested. She is considered to be safe in this 2022 election. Republican challengers include Navy veteran and retired IRS analyst Peggy Hubbard, who thinks election fraud did occur in some states in 2020. And we also have North Suburban lawyer Kathy Salvi running against Duckworth as well. Now today, J.B. Pritzker and Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton began at the 95th Street Red Line stop. That is the site of a shooting that happened last month. Now, neither candidate, they talked about violence plaguing the city. They would not, but rather focused on the recent overturning of abortion rights as well as LGBTQ rights and civil rights. The governor is facing West Sider, Army vet, and nurse Beverly Miles. Pritzker and the Democratic Governors Association spending close to $40 million to sway Republican voters towards State Senator Darren Bailey, figuring he's an easier challenger come November. The governor telling us earlier today he's already looking ahead at the general election.
I feel great about our prospects in November, and I'm excited about the chance to take on these Trump-backed Republicans and beat them.
And you guys mentioned that the polls closed at 7 o'clock tonight. We are watching those election results roll in. At last check, you did talk about Darren Bailey, who had around 47%, and then that was followed by Irvin. And of course, we'll watch that go up and down throughout this evening, and we'll be watching here as well at the Marriott Marquis here in the South Loop. I'll send it back to you, Mike and Natalie, in the studio.
Thanks very much, Tia. We are going to be signing off at this point. We'll be back about 8 p.m., Natalie.
We're going to continue to bring you updates all night on air and online. Thanks for joining us.